Hey everyone, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with another video. And this one is going to be really super cool because I am, of course, going to be talking about supercooling. And for those of you who don't know what supercooling is, basically the concept it relates to your air conditioning and energy use. And what the concept is if you run your air conditioner on a heavier duty cycle at night when the outside temperatures are lower, right, and the electricity rates are lower, you're going to save energy and pay less. So basically, the way it would work is at night you set your thermostat to as low as what you're humanly possibly comfortable with, right? So a lot of articles actually recommend setting your thermostat at like 60 degrees at night, right? Which is pretty darn chilly inside. But I was setting mine. I actually experimented with this last month. The chilliest that I could go in my house and be at least somewhat comfortable at night was 65 degrees. And then what the idea is when you wake up in the morning, after your house has cooled down to this really low temperature, you pump your thermostat way up. So for me, when I would get up in the morning, I would, reset my thermostat up to 74, right? I would go from 65 to 74. That's almost 10 degrees warmer. And that would keep my AC off the vast majority of the day, right? Um, it just didn't turn on. It would stay off for several hours, which is whereas if I don't allow that type of a temperature variance, obviously the AC kicks on a lot more during the summer. During the day when it's warm outside, it's going to kick on a lot more often. But it would stay off for many hours, and I thought to myself, wow, this is a really neat thing, until I saw my electric bill, which we're going to talk about. Um, it actually, the other supposed benefit of this is supposedly it will save the life of your AC because your AC won't have to work as hard during the hotter days, yada, yada, yada. But what I found when I did it, when I was running mine, my AC would run continuously for really, when I was in the cool down phase, it would run. I would start the cool down phase around 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I'd try to just lower it by a couple of degrees in the house, maybe, down to 72 or so. And then around 9, 10 o'clock at night after the sun had went down, I would just go ahead and I'd set that bad boy down to 65. So the AC really started, kicking on pretty good at, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And it would not stop really until going full throttle, obviously. It would go till, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. So it would take quite a long time of continual AC operation for the temperature to get to the target temperature inside the home. And I have a pretty efficient HVAC system. It's new. It's pretty new. I replaced it, both my furnace and my AC, within the last few years. But that's neither here nor there. They're relatively new units, very efficient. But that's just realistically how long it took for my stuff to cool down. So I got my electric bill for last month, the other day, and it was $80 higher than what it was the previous month, right? So it most certainly did not save me any money on my electricity. And why is that? Well, I think a large part of it is because the electric company that I am a part of that services this area, they're actually a member-owned cooperative, but that's neither here nor there. But the energy place, I called them up before I started this whole idea of supercooling, and I said, hey, do you guys have... I'm thinking about starting to supercool my home at night. I'm sure you've heard of it. And they said, yeah, we've heard about it, and it could be good. And they said, yeah, it's definitely worth trying. I was like, okay. And I said, do you have... Now, would I be better off staying on my current plan, which is a flat rate? Like, I don't pay more for electricity during the day than I do at 2 a.m. Like, my rate is the same no matter when I use it, right? So I said, would I be better off? I said, do you have a time of use plan, and would I save money? And the gentleman I spoke to, he said, yes, you could potentially save money, but you would have to rearrange your entire life around it. Otherwise, you'll end up spending more. He said you would have to make sure that you would wait till, like 9 o'clock at night to like do laundry, run your dishwasher, basically anything that was at least somewhat electrically intensive. You want to wait until off peak hours. Otherwise, you're going to be paying more, which I guess is logical enough. And truthfully, I can offload certain tasks to, off peak hours very easily, like the AC. No, I was doing that anyway, right? But things like running the dishwasher or laundry or whatever, or any other activities that I might do that might take more power than just, watching TV or whatever. I wasn't willing to try to rearrange my life to that degree just to save a few dollars. And so I decided to stay on my flat rate. And I'm going to tell you about my flat rate plan. It might make a few of you guys out there a little jealous of just how cheap it is. But we'll get there. So he said, I said, well, one of the benefits is he said it can possibly prolong your AC's, your HVAC unit's life. He's like, yeah, I could see that. And basically we got off the phone and that was the end of that. So I just did the supercooling thinking, okay, even if I spend exactly the same that I would have spent otherwise, it still might be worth it because it might extend the life of my AC. Well, the jury's out on that. I'm not going to say whether that will give my unit more life or not, but I do know that it most definitely raised my rates. And that's just because the AC was running, I think, for so long at any single time that it was just, I was just using more kilowatt hours than I typically do. Because one thing on my bill, it shows me basically like my last 2 years of, it shows me a bar graph of kilowatt hours that I've used over the last 2 years. And the month that I did that, last month, I used more kilowatt hours than I have in the last 2 years, period. It was by far my highest electricity use out of all of those times. So, yeah, I am giving up, obviously, on supercooling at this point because it's not saving me energy. It's certainly not saving me money. It might have if I had a time of use type of plan, because I'm sure it would cost me less to use more electricity at night than sure, okay. But my overall electric use still increased. It certainly did not decrease. So I actually figured out now to talk about thing that might make you guys a little tiny bit jealous. Is I kind of figured out what's my kilowatt per hour rate, right? My kilowatt hour rate, and it's actually shockingly very low. It's under $7 per kilowatt hour, which is insanely cheap. I actually looked up some sites that talked about average U.S. kilowatt hours, and I'm way below the national average. So, yet another reason I'm really enjoying living where I'm living. There's just so many benefits to living here that it's unreal. I tell you what, I'm never gonna move. Anyway, so basically that's pretty much gonna wrap this up. Supercooling might work for you if your situation is different. Like any of these videos that I talk about, I'm going to talk about my life experiences, what my situation is. Yours might vary. So anyway, that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, live long and prosper. Keep on rocking. I'll see you folks in the next one.